Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking another look at the PlayStation Store summer sale. I know, we're doing it again. This time, the concept is a little bit different. What I wanted to do is see what games we could buy for $100. So if we have a $100 bill, which I should have definitely got as a prop. I don't even have anything here to substitute for a $100 bill. But if we have a $100 bill, how many games can we buy from the PlayStation Store summer sale? And I have figured out you can get 14 absolutely awesome games for $100. All 14 of these games for $100, and I can vouch for every one of them. So what I want to do is we'll go through every single one of these games. I'll highlight why it's great, how much it costs on the sale, and then we'll tally it up as we go so you can keep track of how much this is costing. And then that will be my $100 store package, basically, for you guys to go out and buy if you haven't already got these games. So let us go dive in and let's kick off.
Wish you knew what power you have over me, but now it's so.
Thank you guys again for tuning in. If you're a new viewer of the channel, please consider subscribing. I make videos like this all the time. This is the $100 PlayStation Store challenge, where I'm going to see exactly what I can get for $100 on the PlayStation Store summer sale. Let's dive straight into the first title. Alright, so the first title is something that is a pretty amazing game, to be quite frankly, The Witcher 3. This is priced incredibly at $11.99 on the PlayStation Store right now, which is amazing. I know the game is a little bit old at this point. It's been around for a couple of years, but if you're looking for a really solid Western RPG, then I don't think there is a better one on the PlayStation 4 that you can get that beats this game. I think this is as good as it gets on the PS4 in terms of Western RPGs. The quality of it is amazing, the story is amazing, the combat is amazing. It gets ticks across the board from me. If you're not familiar with the Witcher series, you play as this character who's a witcher, basically, Geralt. He's essentially a bounty hunter. He does tasks for people. In this game, he's on a... You know what? Actually, I'm not even going to go into the story. Just play the game and enjoy it. Have a great time. The game's a lot of fun. $11.99. So our total currently, out of $100... actually, I'll do it this way. So we currently spent $11.99 in the deal. So that's the first game on the list. Alright, the second game on the list is Grand Theft Auto 5. Believe it or not, this game is $14.99 on the PlayStation Store at the moment. Now, I know this is like almost like a 10-year-old game at this point, almost. It is getting a little bit on. This is the PS4 version of the game, obviously. It is still an incredible experience if you haven't played it before, and I highly recommend grabbing it for $14.99 if you don't own this. This is the full single-player game, which is easily like 50 hours of gameplay, plus the multiplayer component, which is just infinite, and it's still incredibly popular. It's still one of the most popular online games on the PlayStation Store to date, GTA 5, and it's $14.99, which is insane. That price just baffles me that games like this, these amazing like pinnacles of a generation, can be so cheap, and it's pretty incredible. I know that pretty much everyone has GTA 5 at this point, but seeing it for that price, I just couldn't pass it by and not include it on my list. So GTA 5, $14.99, bringing our total to $26.98. We're still quite a long ways off hitting that 100 goal. So that's 2 titles down so far. Next up on the list is Doom 2015. This is, again, this is another game where like it's just so cheap on the store that if you don't own this one, you're kind of losing money not buying it. $5.99 for this game. It's an amazing kinetic first-person shooter game. It's essentially a soft reboot of Doom, but on modern consoles. If you're into some sort of quick run, gun, hack, slash type gameplay, then this is definitely for you. If you don't like blood and gore, then maybe avoid it, but I mean, it's $5.99, and that brings our total to $32.97. Now, at this point in the challenge, I'm sitting there looking at the PlayStation Store thinking, like, what can I do to add some more big games to this list? And I found Middleearth Shadow of War on the PlayStation Store. This is the sequel to Middleearth Shadow of Mordor, Warner Brothers game that came out kind of midway through this generation, I would say. It's definitely not as good as the original game, but it's still a very, very solid third-person action game. It's set in the Lord of the Rings universe. You play in this open world environment. You've got this really quick hack and slash gameplay. It feels a lot like Batman to play in terms of that hack and slash gameplay, but obviously in a medieval Lord of the Rings setting, which is also really, really, really cool. And it's only $12.49 at the moment. It's really, really cheap. I don't know if I've even seen this game that cheap before. It's an amazing deal if you haven't picked this one up as well. Another incredible AAA experience for you to check out on PS4 if you haven't already. And yeah, I couldn't pass this one up. I had to add it to the list because it's a really, really solid game, and I think this one was definitely underlooked when it came out. Way back when. Now, this is where I start getting a little bit creative in terms of how many games we can add to this list. We're currently sitting at $45.46, so we're almost halfway through the challenge, and I thought, you know what? The deal for Bioshock is exactly the same as it is for Middle-earth. It's $12.49, and you get 3 Bioshock games from this. Now, I know they're remasters, they're from the previous generation, but these games are absolutely phenomenal. The story on 1 and Infinite still holds up today, even 2 to a degree. The gameplay has been remastered, so it looks so good and they play so well. The good thing about a fantastic game like this is that when they're made so well originally, remastering them and bringing them to current gen isn't that challenging. You know, they're just touching up some stuff, but the actual core gameplay just is still exceptional. I know viewers of the channel know that I love Bioshock. I love these 3 games. They're all phenomenal. And for $12.49, you're getting 3 phenomenal games to add to your list. With the Bioshock Collection added to our total, we're looking at $57.95 as our new total. So we're a little bit over halfway now in terms of our $100. So have a look at what I've got next. Now, if you watched my previous video about the store sale, you'll know I called out Metal Gear Solid 5 being discounted. There's actually a bundle where you can get both Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain and Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, $4.99, which, so it works out obviously cheaper buying this bundle with these 2 games added in here. Obviously that adds another 2 games to our total, and it's a $5 deal for another incredible experience. If you know, Metal Gear, obviously it's a little bit convoluted, it's a little bit confusing if you haven't played it before. All you really need to know is this third person, I guess, stealth action game or stealth espionage game, and that's all that really matters. Like, the game is phenomenal. It was getting 10 out of 10s across the board when it came out. It's $5 and you get 2 amazing games from it. There's also a multiplayer component too. It's an amazing deal. Amazing deal. Well worth your time. And this brings our total to $62.94. So we're slowly creeping towards that $100 goal. So next we have the newest addition in the Metro series, Metro Exodus. This game is actually $13.99 on the store at the moment. This only came out a year ago and it's already discounted so heavily. I'm shocked to see this game so cheap. The game reviewed relatively well when it came out, but it came out in an unfortunate timing. So probably didn't perform quite as well as you'd have hoped. The game is it's a first-person shooter, essentially. Very focused on narrative. It's set in this Russian setting. It's very, very unique. You're fighting a combination of these mutant monsters as well as human enemies. When you're in this sort of like post-apocalyptic Holocaust type environment, it's a really, really cool and unique setting. It's not something we've seen in, I think, any other video game. I mean, obviously it's apocalyptic, but a different type of apocalypse. You can see here in the footage, the game looks phenomenal, and it's, like I said, $14. You can't really go wrong when it's that price. You get a decent amount of gameplay in here. You get a really high quality narrative and visual experience, and you're gonna have an absolute blast with it. So Metro's creeping our total even higher. That brings us up to $76.93. Now, I'm guessing if you saw my video earlier in the week, you're going to know that Battlefield 1 is insanely cheap at the moment. The game is $2.99, which is just amazing. I can't believe the game is so damn cheap. It's a great first-person Battlefield game. Like I said in my last video, this is my favorite Battlefield game that they've released. They did a really good job with the single player, cutting it into these 5 separate vignettes, these like individual shorter stories, and they tell like these different stories of war, and it's really a neat way of doing things. The game runs well, the game plays well, the game looks great, and it's $3. It's $3, and you're getting like 50, 60 hours worth of entertainment out of $3. You know, between the single player campaigns, all those trophies, and the multiplayer, you're just getting a ton of content here, and it's well worth $3. So we're adding that to our list as well, bringing our total up to $79.92. Now, I want to cut in here before we reveal our last couple of games. The reason being is at this point here, we're at $79.92. So there's a little bit of money left to spend, about $20 or so I could afford. So I thought, what do I want to do? And I looked around for a couple of other cheaper games and lower priced games and sort of worked that out. And then I settled on one other game, which I think kind of does a better job than all of that stuff in terms of like giving us a well-rounded package. And that game is Crash Bandicoot The Insane Trilogy. This is 3 games in one, and it's 3 absolutely stunning games in one. Crash the Insane Trilogy may be my favorite games that have released this generation just because of how well done it is. I love Crash Bandicoot, and they did such a phenomenal job remastering these games and staying faithful to these games. It's a tip of the hat from me, but this is currently $19.99 on the PlayStation Store. This is the most expensive game that I've added to our list. For Crash, I think it's worth it. At $19.99, it actually works out to be about like $6.50 or $6.60 per game, so it almost works out on par with our cheapest game in the package. But for 19 bucks, you're getting 3 amazing games remastered. If you're ever into Crash, if you've ever played Crash before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's worth every cent of that as well. Like, you know, it's a pretty amazing deal for this game. I know this one goes on sale quite often, so it's not like incredible, and the price isn't like jaw-droppingly cheap, but I think it's a nice little game to round out our total little challenge here. Now, with all that said and done, our total after Crash being added to it works out to be $99.91. So technically, after buying all of those games, all 14 of those titles, I have 9 cents left over from my $100, which now is gone. But I guess like the whole point of this is more like it was a challenge to see what I could get for $100 on the PlayStation Store. And it was also a bit of a challenge to see how much like awesome content we could cram in there. I think these are 14 of like the best games. Some of these, I don't think there's a single game in here that's a miss. I think every single one of these is a high quality game. Every single one of these is a AAA experience. None of these indie titles or anything like that. They're all like amazing AAA games. And I think like any one of these games alone is phenomenal. But getting all of them, all 14 of these games for $100 is just an incredible deal. It's great value. I know at the end of the generation like this, a lot of people have already filled their libraries with stuff, so it might not be as helpful, but I'm sure there's some of you guys out there who'll be interested to see where $100 gets you on the PlayStation Store. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give a like and a thumbs up. Maybe you're interested in going through the store as well and picking out a couple of games that you think are really valuable that should have been added to this list. Maybe there is a different list of games that you would buy for $100 and you're willing to take on the PlayStation Store challenge as well. Let me know if you are in the comment section down below. This is probably something I'm going to do going forward. I think I really like this type of video. I think it's a really neat like way of thinking and breaking down store sales, and I think I'm going to look at doing this for other big store sales going forward as well. Hopefully we can play along a little bit more in the future as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. I do really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, I've already said that part. But yeah, I appreciate it. I've got my little crypto here. He's going to say goodbye. Thanks for watching. Jeez, he's so freaky.